Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining me. I am not as full of joy and sunshine as I prefer to be when we open this show. I'm, and maybe I'm never full of joy and sunshine. I don't know, but I just have to keep it real with you. This will sound fake. You won't believe what I'm about to say. But this morning, early 5 a.m., 4:30 a.m. or so, I wake up to prepare for this show. I know we're going to have a conversation about Caitlin Clark and being named the Athlete of the Year by Time Magazine and some of the quotes and excerpts from that article. I had already read the day before, and I knew that I needed to be prepared to talk about Caitlin Clark, and so I wanted to read the entire Time story, not just go on the excerpts where people were complaining about how woke she was and how she confessed her white privilege. I wanted to read the entire story, so I did. And this will sound crazy, and Whitlock, he's going WWE here. But I read the entire article, and when I was done, I nearly cried. I'm not joking. I nearly cried. And it now that I will add this little bit of joke or humor to it, but I immediately thought of the scene in The Godfather. Look how they massacred my boy. And that's when I read the Time article. I was like, they done massacred Caitlin Clark. The one thing in sports that brought me genuine joy, the one thing in sports where I watched and all the cares left my mind and all I could think about is, man, I love this little girl. I love what she represents. I love every bit of this. This is awesome. And they've destroyed it. They've destroyed it. I mean, the way that I felt about Caitlin Clark was how I felt watching Tiger Woods. And I would watch Tiger Woods, whether it was a major championship or just a regular tour event. And it was just utter joy I felt watching Tiger Woods. And they've taken that from me. And it's like, it was the last little thing that I was holding on to about sports that I felt was pure and just like reminded me of the good old days when we could just watch sports and we could root for people and we could root against people, and it wasn't tied to all this political garbage. It wasn't tied to all of the Black Lives Matter and all the woke BS that splashed all across all the rest of sports. I wasn't sitting around thinking about, her gay lover because she didn't have one. I just loved Caitlin Clark. And they've massacred her. And now, look, do I enjoy the Kansas City Chiefs still? Yes, they have Harrison Butker. They have Brittany Mahomes, Patrick's wife. I love that. I love Brittany Mahomes out of the closet. They got Randy Mahomes, Patrick's mother. They have that. They have Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the NFL, who's married to an out-of-the-closet Trump supporter and whose mother's an out-of-the-closet Trump supporter. I like the Kansas City Chiefs. I really enjoy Andy Reid. I like Brett Veach, the general manager. But nothing compared to the joy that I received from watching Caitlin Clark jack up bad three-pointers and embarrass the Woke Negroes Basketball Association. Those angry black lesbians that hated her. I love watching her slay them. Loved it. And now it's gone. They conquered. the Woke Negroes Basketball Association conquered Caitlin Clark. And now, this show today, and we're only going to do this for about an hour today because I got other things I need to do and take care of today. But now, can we put the camera on the Caitlin Clark basketball that I intentionally had placed here? It sits behind Butter. Caitlin Clark and Tiger Woods. Do you see how much camera time they got? Caitlin Clark and Tiger Woods. They were the co-stars of this show. And now I have to get, can I really make Caitlin Clark the co-star of this show? Butter, there's two things. There's Tiffany. Can Tiffany hear me? No, she can't hear me. She just walked.
What can I do for you, Jason?
Tiffany, get the one of the framed Caitlin Clark jerseys and bring it in here. I literally just paid for 2 Caitlin Clark jerseys to get framed. One so I could put here in the studio, one that I could put in my studio at home. The Caitlin Clark framed jerseys, where are they at?
Right over here.
Oh, they're over. Yeah, grab one of those. Somehow, I just paid for this. We just had it shipped here. I couldn't wait to display this here in the studio. Caitlin Clark. What do I do now? And I'm saying this in all seriousness. I can't hang this in this studio. It's like I've wasted money. And you remember breaking up with your first girlfriend? I got a better one. You remember the first time you found out that stripper really didn't like you? That's what this is like. What are you laughing about, Luke?
That's
never happened to you, Luke?
That was a difficult thing for me to get over. I can imagine what you're going through.
Luke is laughing. He's never had his heart broken by a stripper who...
It's the worst heartbreak.
It's horrible. And I'm sorry for cracking the joke because I'm dead serious about how heartbroken I am. And so now you look and you say, well, hold on, man. I just got a stack of ones here to hit Diamond Joe's tonight. What do I do with this stack of ones? I went to the bank and got $300 in ones, and I'm headed to Diamond Joe's, and now she doesn't like me. And that's how it feels. I got two Caitlin Clark jerseys framed. And she just basically in this Time interview, hey, Whitlock, I don't like you. And all of you evangelical conservatives that hopped on board with me, I'm with the Woke Negroes Basketball Association. I'm with the feminists. I'm with the lesbians. I'm bending the knee to the Woke Negroes Basketball Association. I'm just, holy cow. So, Butter, do those, because we have to fix this. I can't turn the butter. You'll be in the butter box a long time.
I know. I don't want to be there.
Clark all the time. Is that going to be easy to move around? Do I just eliminate it, or do we're going to try to promote. I'm hoping.
You want me to see if I can?
Yeah. Can that just be removed easily? Comes off.
It can.
And can something else be put up there once you remove it? Oh, that looks real easy.
Jason, I feel bad for you that this is happening right now. I know what this means to you.
It means everything, but I do have a replacement that it's all, oh, let me see that. That looks, so we can just put something else up there, and I'm gonna, yeah.
Are you thinking John Elway?
Oh, no, Sophie Cunningham.
You want Sophie Cunningham.
Yeah, bring Sophie Cunningham down, and I will say this. If Sophie goes woke, she's still staying up.
Hey,
I'm going to admit that.
Jason, let's just be honest, though. Is there a chance? You think there's a chance here for me?
No.
No?
You got something better than Sophie at home. But yeah, let's put Sophie. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I like that. Now that leaves the question: do I put this in Sophie Cunningham's place? And you know what? I kept wondering about what this was here and why that was there. And it was probably there unintentionally because someone knew this wouldn't be a long-term relationship. Someone knew. What was it? T-Pain had the song, I'm in love with a stripper. They knew how temporary this thing with me and Caitlin Clark was and is. And so I'm going to kick this to the curb for now. We'll see if, I think we'll just leave the Sophie Cunningham spot blank for now. But I'm going to get in, not that I haven't been serious, because I did cry this morning reading the Time magazine article, but I'm going to explain to you all what was in this Time magazine article. It's worse than just the excerpts. They destroyed. And it's systematic, the destruction of her. And this is like, for those in my generation, but I think some of you younger people are aware of it too. You ever heard of Scared Straight?
Yep. In the prisons?
Yeah, prisons. And this was a popular show when I was a kid. It's a one-off like documentary. They took a bunch of troublemaking teenagers to Rahway State Prison in the 70s, and a bunch of prisoners yelled and screamed at them and told them what prison life was going to be like, and it was called Scared Straight. That's what happened to Caitlin Clark. She got scared woke. I'm going to get into it, but before I do any of that, I want to tell you all about joining the Fearless Mission. It's very important, and I need you right, because this war, this culture war that we're in, it's not over. I know Donald Trump won. I know things seem to be blowing our direction, but this culture war is not over, and I'm not sure if it'll ever be over, and that's why you need to join the Fearless Mission. Go to fearlessmission.com, use the promo code FEARLESS40. You can save $40 on your yearly subscription. Fearlessmission.com, become a subscriber, save $40 on your subscription. The other thing I'm going to do is, before I get there, is I want to talk to you guys about our great friends with Folds of Honor and Craft Co. and Fox and Olden Whiskey. In the world of whiskey, there's premium and then there's Fox and Olden. And once you taste the difference, the choice will be clear. Fox and Olden was founded by a new generation of whiskey makers to honor and preserve the masterful legacy of pre-prohibition whiskey blending and finishing. Their distillers use only the finest ingredients to craft ultra-premium whiskeys that are rich, complex, and unforgettable. Fox and Olden is rooted in Michigan, famed for its rugged terrain and a spirit of resilience. It's where their passion for whiskey comes to life. Their whiskeys are crafted to honor the wild beauty all around us every day this season. Let these perfectly blended spirits complement the holiday view. A warm fire, a shared meal, packages wrapped and ribboned and left under a tree. However you celebrate, enjoy it to the fullest with double gold, award-winning Fox and Olden Craft American whiskey. This is where heritage and craftsmanship meet to create whiskey that's nothing short of exceptional. Buy online at foxandolden.com and use the code AMERICA for free shipping. That's Fox and Olden, ODEN.com, promo code AMERICA to get free shipping. American made, American proud. Let's get into the rest or the details of this fire starter in this conversation about Caitlin Clark. She's been conquered. I knew this was a possibility, and behind the scenes, I was halfway predicting this, that, look, man, she has been sent to the very, very front lines of the culture war, of this patriarchy versus matriarchy, this LGBTQ, heterosexual war, the whole gender warfare that's going on, all of this cultural warfare. The WNBA is a feminist, woke stronghold. Perhaps the strongest stronghold of all the strongholds that the satanic left holds. And so we take this little small town girl from Iowa that starred at the University of Iowa, and we drop her behind enemy lines, the WNBA, the Woke Negroes Basketball Association, the group of angry lesbians who have this basketball gay pride tour that visits 12 different major cities. And it's just a little sex tour during the summer of gay pride and the whole LGBTQIA plus movement. And Caitlin Clark gets dropped into that, and she's got a boyfriend, and she is doing her best to stay out of politics. And we've seen this league, we've seen other heterosexual women get dropped into the WNBA headquarters behind enemy lines. And they've come running and screaming out like, holy cow, are they hostile to heterosexual women in the WNBA? And so I knew, and I wrote at the very beginning, I was like, hey, what Caitlin Clark is gonna face is gonna be more difficult than what Jackie Robinson faced going into Major League Baseball in 1947. And people thought I was crazy. And I said, hey, look, Jackie Robinson faced legitimate death threats. But in every other way, what Caitlin Clark is going to face going into the WNBA is going to be substantially more difficult than what Jackie Robinson faced. And look where we are 6, 7, 8 months later. Caitlin Clark waved the white flag and she surrendered. In this Time magazine article, let me get to some of these money quotes. I'm sorry, this will take me a second here to call it, because I got so many different notes about things we got going on today. Where are my Caitlin Clark quotes? Oh, Caitlin Clark excerpts. It's not quotes, excerpts. The first one is, here's the excerpt. To be clear, Caitlin Clark had plenty of help. Nope, that's not where I want to start. That's interesting, but that's not where I want to start. Here it is. This is where I want to start. Clark is cognizant of the racial underpinnings of her stardom. This is what's written in the Time magazine article. Here's Caitlin Clark's quote. I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing. I read that and I said, oh my God, who wrote this? Who talked her into this? People won't get it. Because I know many of you said, what do you mean? It's a white woman pledging to elevate black women. Jason, you must hate black women if you don't want to see them elevated. You're just a closet racist. We don't need the false, fraudulent, DEI didn't earn it elevation of anybody, black, white, green, or yellow. This white woman, 22, dedicating her life to elevating black women. That's not what we need in this society. We need the elevation of family structure. We need the elevation of the nuclear family structure. We need influencers and prominent athletes and icons to do what that Boise State coach did after making it to the college football playoff and winning the conference championship. We need more people pointing everybody to Jesus Christ, our true Savior. We don't need, Black women are not our saviors. Black men are not our saviors. White men are not our saviors. White women aren't our saviors. We don't need to be bending over backwards to elevate anybody other than one man, God, who came here in man form. And so this little girl raised in this Catholic school by a nuclear family, many of us placed our hopes and dreams foolishly into thinking like, oh, she's going to stand on it. She's going to stand on her upbringing, her educational background, and her Christian faith, and she's going to stand on it. But the cynic in me was like, she ain't going to stand on it very long because she's a woman. And I don't say that to denigrate women. I'm saying that it's a foundational truth. They will always, always, always choose safety over freedom. It's in their nature. It's who they are. That does not make them inferior. It makes them different. It is our job as men to not compromise. It's our job as men to choose death over dishonor, to choose death over lies. This woman trapped in the WNBA, trapped in the most hostile environment for Christian values that we have in all of sports, yeah, she's going to fold. She's going to say what they want her to say so that she can play in safety, and that more of these athletes won't try to gouge her eyes out, won't try to destroy her, won't try to talk bad about her. She can't take it. She's not John McCain. John McCain went to war in Vietnam or Korea or wherever, got captured by the enemy, and didn't fold or didn't break, and then came home an American hero. That's what men do. And this is again why Pete Hegseth says, don't put women in combat. They will fold because they're supposed to fold. And if they get captured like John McCain, they will come out and read them letters that the Vietnamese, the South Koreans, or whomever, or North Koreans tell them to read. And that's what Caitlin Clark did. She just got turned out. She's behind enemy lines. They've captured her, and they said, hey, read this statement. Black women, we need to elevate them. They built this. And we just got to continue to have brands invest in them. Give these black women money. Do it, do it, do it. I didn't earn this. I have white privilege. I feel sorry for Caitlin Clark. I really do. Because we put her behind enemy lines. We didn't send any backup troop. You know how when they get on in these movies and in war, they get on, send them planes in or whatever. We need backup. We need an air raid, blah, blah. We didn't do that for Caitlin Clark. The WNBA commissioner and everybody in charge of that league, the Indiana Fever, they didn't send backup and say, hey, man, DeJounte Carrington, you better back that ass up and shut up. You just tried to put our meal ticket out of the game. I'm suspending you for a week. They didn't do that. Everybody had to pretend, oh no, DeJounte Carrington, she didn't try to harm her. How dare Christine Brennan even ask the question? And so that's the other part I want to go to. They asked her about DeJounte Carrington. And holy cow, let me find this quote. They asked her about DeJounte Carrington, and she said she never even, do we have that called up in prompter, or I'll find it here, hold on. Yeah. The whole contempt still annoys Clark. She's talking about the whole DeJounte Carrington deal. Never once did that cross my mind that it was on purpose. I've been poked in the eye many times playing basketball. It happens. If that would have happened in the NBA, do you think people would have showed up the next day and been like, hey, Tyrese Halliburton, did you poke Steph Curry in the eye on purpose? That whole line of questioning that Carrington got was not appropriate, and I did not like that. Holy cow. Christine Brennan is this woman's strongest ally. Christine Brennan, the legendary sports writer, 40 years in the game, Hall of Famer, had Caitlin Clark's back all year, wanted her on the Olympic team, talked about what a blown opportunity it was. Caitlin Clark gets in Time magazine and sells Christine Brennan out. That whole line of questioning was not appropriate. Are you kidding me? And it's not Caitlin Clark's fault. We dumped a woman behind enemy lines. We put her on the front lines of a culture war, and she's folded. She's selling any and everybody out. I don't want them in the foxhole with me. They don't belong in the foxhole with me. They can be nurses. They can come. I get shot up, come bandage me up, drag me off somewhere. But on the front lines with a gun? No. Soon as it gets tough, she will turn that gun on me, you, and every other man. Just like she just did Christine Brennan. Scared woke. This is right out of a prison movie. Asia Wilson and these other angry lesbians have made Caitlin Clark grab a belt loop. For those of you that don't understand prison logo, when they turn you out in prison and make you their, and pardon the language, I'm just going to keep it real, when they make you their prison bitch, they make you grab the belt loop of their pants and just follow you around to let everybody know, we got this one. This is mine. Don't touch him. This is mine. I've turned him out. I've changed his name to Tiffany. His name was LeBron. Now I've changed him into Tiffany. He's grabbed my belt loop. That's what they've done to Caitlin Clark. And we allowed it. We knew that she was going into the WNBA and we didn't provide proper support. And she sold everybody. She sold her fan base out. She, where's the quote? She sold her fan base out. She basically has justified all the hatred and venom expressed towards her fan base. This entire article is about Caitlin Clark selling her fan base out and getting Caitlin Clark on board with selling the Black Lives Matter feminist argument that her whole fan base is racist, that all the new fans just hate black people. They're all sexist pigs. This article quotes, what's the woman's name? Tammy Fagbenley. It's one of her teammates. She was like the 7th or 8th man on the team. This whole thing's a rig job. If you read the entire story, you can't just take the excerpts. You got to read the entire story to see what it is they're doing here. It's a 5,000, 6,000 word essay designed to say, Caitlin, say these things, jump on board with this program. We're going to turn you into Megan Rapinoe, and you're going to be a spokesman like everybody else. It's sad.
Are you crying?
Yes, because I'm just sitting here thinking about, do we really have a chance? We keep sending our best and brightest off to these institutions that are designed to destroy them and remove all of their biblical values, any of their biblical worldview. We've handed over the institutions and they just obliterate young people's biblical worldview. Here's the other excerpt I want to read from the article. Many observers, and this speaks to the agenda of this entire article and why it was framed this way, why they're quoting Tammy Fagbenley. She's the 7th, 8th man on the team. Caitlin Clark's best friend on the team appears to be Lexi Hall. She seems to have a really tight relationship with Aaliyah Boston. Erica Wheeler seems to have Caitlin Clark's back more than anybody else on the team. And Kelsey Mitchell has great on-court chemistry with Caitlin Clark. None of them are quoted in the story. Maybe Lexi Hull very briefly, I can't remember, but none of the rest of them quoted in the story. This Fag Bimley's all over this deal. And that's how you know it's a rigged job. They take one of the most inconsequential players who will say all the right things and they make her prominent. I want to start, before I get to that, I want to start with a couple of Fag Bimley quotes. They're just like, why am I hearing from this woman? Who? I watched every game. You know, besides blowing a bunch of layups, I just don't know what Fag Bimley really had to offer to the team. But here's the first quote from Fag Bimley. America was founded on segregation and to this day is very much about black and white. In a sport dominated by black African-American players, white America has rallied around Caitlin Clark. The support looks mostly amazing, sometimes fanatical and territorial, sometimes racist. It seems that the great white hope syndrome is at play again. Oh, God. These idiots. Hey, Fag Bimley, and that is her name. I'm not using it as an excuse to say Fag Bimley. That's her name. Have you ever watched tennis? Fag Bimley? Anybody? Women's tennis and tennis in general. It was built on the backs of white women and white people. Who's the biggest star? Serena Williams?
The Williams.
What athlete did I just read, I think, made the most money? Wasn't it Coco Gauff? You put her endorsement deals and on-court earnings, and she's making more money than Caitlin Clark. But it's built off the backs of white women. Shouldn't we be celebrating the white players more and elevating them? These racial idiots are destroying America, destroying American sports, and eviscerating our young people. Caitlin Clark has a chance to be great. They're eviscerating her. Here's what they've done. This is like Jackie Robinson joining Major League Baseball in 1947. And after one season in Major League Baseball, Jackie Robinson comes out and does an interview where he says, well, the black man is really not worthy of playing in Major League Baseball. We're second and third class citizens. We're second and third rate baseball players. Keep in mind, Jackie Robinson was an all-star his rookie year. He had a great rookie season, no different than Caitlin Clark. And so instead of leaning into what she earned, she comes out and says, no, all these racist black women that I play with that hate me, try to injure me, try to destroy me, they're right. It would be Jackie Robinson coming out in 1948 and saying, yeah, Major League Baseball was right. Yeah, I know I just played at an all-star level. I know I just was in the MVP race, MVP conversation. But man, these white players are so much better than me, and we need to be celebrating them. This was all built on the backs of them. But when Caitlin Clark does it, people are celebrating and calling it progress. Yes, I almost cried this morning reading this article. It's a bunch. Let me read this one more Fag Bimley quote before I forget. Oh God. Here it is. Yeah. Many observers seem inclined to reserve judgment on Clark and her approach to confronting off-court issues, given that she was a rookie adjusting to life as an athletic icon. So here's Fag Bimley. She should be afforded some grace. Understanding the racial tensions in this country, could she have been more proactive about condemning her racist fans' words and distancing herself from them? Sure, if she's comfortable standing up for others and challenging her racist fans unsolicited, but not everyone is built like that. This article demonized Caitlin Clark fans, and I don't know a bigger Caitlin Clark fan than me. And I'm sorry, I'm not some racist. And the Caitlin Clark fans aren't a group of white racists. They're a group of people that enjoyed seeing a little girl from Iowa go into a league that is really hostile towards our biblical worldview and destroy them. We enjoyed that. We loved it because we thought, oh, look at this little Catholic girl, got some Christian values. Look at her go into a den of thieves, a den of Marxist, racist idiots, and clown suit them. We enjoyed that. Because we have a problem with these Marxist, racist people that lean into their sexual identity above all else. People that have their little WNBA sex tour, gay pride festival, drag queen story hour tour going along while playing basketball in the background. We wanted that environment to be more friendly to family, more friendly to a biblical worldview. But Tammy Fagbingley, 7th, 8th man on the Indiana Fever, she hates us. And she wants Caitlin Clark to hate us. She wants Caitlin Clark to see us as racist. And this entire story is about getting her on board with that. Let me gather my thoughts here, take care of our great friend. This is great because this always puts me in a positive when I can talk about preborn and all the things that we here in the Fearless Army do to support preborn and the worldview that life begins at conception. We go about the job, the business of trying to save babies. God, Jesus Christ, Yeshua, loves babies more than anything and hates the evil of abortion more than anything. Preborn supports that worldview by providing expectant mothers an ultrasound, introduce that baby through visual image of the baby, and now the mother's twice as likely to choose life. That's where preborn steps in, steps up, provides the mother and child the support they need over the next 2 years, up to the next 2 years. It's an awesome experience. It's awesome to be involved with an organization that's saving babies' lives. Whether you give $28, which will pay for 1 ultrasound, $140, which will pay for 5 ultrasounds, or $28 million, which will save a lot of babies' lives. It all is tax deductible, and it all goes towards a great cause. There's 2 ways to give. Pound 250, say the keyword baby, pound 250, keyword baby, or give the way that I prefer to give, preborn.com/fearless. Preborn.com/fearless. Do that, and it'll make you feel better about what I'm talking about with Caitlin Clark. All right, let me return.
Jason, can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah, please.
Do you feel any part of this for her? And you've kind of alluded to this, but in her position, this is sort of like the January 6th entrapment, where she's lured into this. She becomes the person of the year. It's an opportunity for them to pin her in this interview. Do you have any compassion that she had no way out of this?
She did have a way out. Hey, that's great. No, I'm not going to consent to an in-person. I'm not going to open myself up. Send me some questions, I'll answer them. But she had the reporter. The reporter came, spent time with her in Indianapolis. The reporter went to a Taylor Swift concert, it seems like, with her and all that. I wouldn't have done all that. I would have kept Time magazine at an arm's length. This is all negotiated. She's represented by powerful people. She works at Nike. I have a tiny bit of compassion, but no, she wasn't sandbagged here. This entire thing was agreed upon. You can tell by the agreed upon lies that are laced throughout this story. The whole pretending that, oh yeah, they had a couple sentences in there were like, it wasn't just Caitlin Clark. It was Asia Wilson. It was Brianna Stewart. It was Angel Reese. They all lifted the WNBA. And everybody knows that's bogus, but it's an agreed upon lie. The agreed upon lie, oh no, Angel Reese didn't really taunt Caitlin Clark. That was the media. They overblew that blah, blah, blah. It's the entire thing is based on agreed upon lies. I'm going to tell you that one of the other key tells was early in the story when they're framing up what she accomplished. And they're making comparisons and saying, well, Michael Jordan didn't do this because Larry and Magic had already established a foundation and so-and-so. I forget, there was somebody else they referenced, but they never mentioned Tiger Woods. I was like, well, this is odd because the only comparison is what Tiger Woods did for the PGA Tour. But why would they stay away from referencing Tiger in that way? And the reason is because Tiger never did this. Tiger Woods let his talent carry him. Again, he's a man, and I'm not saying he's a righteous man. We know what happened on Thanksgiving 2009. We know Tiger had a love affair with strippers and whores in Las Vegas. I get it. We know all that. But there was a set of things that Tiger wouldn't bend on. Hey, I'm not going to play your woke racial game. I'm mixed race. And, we laughed at him when he said cobbling Asian, but everybody's like, I'm not going to deny my identity just to make you happy. I'm not going to go woke just to make you all happy. I'm going to be Tiger Woods, be this great golfer, and I'm going to let the chips fall where they may. That's why they don't reference Tiger Woods, because he's not seen in that. He never hopped on board with the messaging. And so that they don't want Caitlin Clark to even think, hey, there's another way to go about this. Tiger Woods never bowed. He never bent the knee, and he's beloved. Yeah. And everybody knows all of his flaws. Everybody knows he was, a male whore and all that, and made a fool of himself and destroyed a marriage and all that. But they still love him because he had a set of values and principles that he stuck to despite all the pressure. They don't want, and so I'm telling you, when you read this story, it's so much more powerful than just the clips. And so the next level of this is, remember, she has this famous quote early in the season or at some point during the season when she didn't make the Olympic team, and she texted her coach, Christy Symes, that they woke up a monster. And what this whole story is about is creating a woke monster. That's what they're turning Caitlin Clark into, a woke monster. Caitlin, if you do these things, say these things, adopt these positions, we'll leave you alone. No one else is going to try to poke your eye out. We'll quit talking about you in this way, and you'll have some peace. Now, they've lied to her, and she'll find this out shortly, that nothing's going to stop these angry lesbians, the black ones in particular, are going to continue to try to destroy her. Period. End of story. Just out of just pure jealousy and their racial bigotry. But she thinks, and she's been promised, that they've made peace. And so they framed up this whole deal. Now, here's what you need to do, Caitlin. You got to be like Megan Rapinoe. You got to hop on board with all the messaging. And they close out the story, or towards the end of the story, they close it out quoting Sue Bird. And first they quote Terry Jackson, the executive director of the WNBA Players Association. She said, hopes Clark leans into her voice more down the road. Let's be clear. The responsibility for setting the tone and sending a message was absolutely at the league and team, but particularly at the league level. Then they say, then they go to Sue Bird, who says, what comes with being a professional athlete is speaking on important issues. What rule book is that in? What rule book? I've seen many, far more athletes avoid speaking on so-called important issues than I have seen lean into it. There's two groups that lean into speaking on this stuff: blacks and gays. That's it. And a lot of the blacks avoid it, and many of the gays avoid it. They just want to have gay sex and be left alone.
Company policy for an organization that is nonprofit. It doesn't make profit for 28 years.
Yeah. And then Sue Bird wraps it up. And so I imagine she's going to continue to educate and get better at that as well. In today's world, people will use you if you don't speak about your own feelings and thoughts. So by getting more comfortable and confident in your voice, you can eliminate that. This entire argument, Caitlin, if you go woke and you just repeat these talking points, that's what athletes do. Don't you remember John Elway and Larry Bird and every other athlete and Kevin McHale and ramble on. I used to be good friends with Derek Thomas. I didn't hear him speaking on important political issues. They had to give Magic Johnson AIDS before he would ever say anything about anything important. And then he started talking about AIDS. But before that, Magic wasn't talking politics, not that I remember. Magic liked chasing P and playing basketball, and that's what he focused on. Then they gave him AIDS, and he became a spokesman. But they had to give the man AIDS before he would become a spokesman. And so, again, but Magic's a man, and so they had to go to extreme lengths. They couldn't scare Magic into it. They had to give him AIDS, and now he's a spokesman. But Caitlin, they just scared her into it. They've created a woke monster, and that's what this entire story is about. And I've sat here and asked myself, like, what impact is this going to have on the WNBA? It's far more difficult for me to watch at this point. Far more difficult for me to watch. I've seen a bunch of other people say that and like, hey, they're done. They're out on Caitlin Clark. But that's those of us in the media space that follow this very closely. But what about the rest? What about kids that have all become Caitlin Clark fans? They got the posters up. They follow her. They got them. Little girls going, Mommy, I want to go see Caitlin Clark play. And what's Mommy going to do? Mommy may not even be aware. But this is what these institutions are designed to do. I'm going to give you what should have been explored in this story, or someone does a counter story or whatever. It's like they're undefeated. And I've been talking about this more behind the scenes than maybe on camera here. But this culture, this WNBA, it's so undefeated. And the timing of this article and the turning of Caitlin Clark into a woke monster, I don't think it's a coincidence that the Indiana Fever fired Christy Sides and hired Stephanie White. Stephanie White's already been through this process. Stephanie White, their new head coach, grew up in a small town in Indiana. She went to Seeger High School in West Lebanon, small town in Indiana. I'm from Indiana. I remember that she's younger than me, but I believe in the mid-1990s, she was named Mrs. Basketball in the state of Indiana. And Stephanie White was, like Caitlin Clark, relatively attractive basketball player, female basketball player from a small town that led her high school team to great heights, and then went off to a home state university, Purdue. And in her senior year, she led Purdue to its first and only national basketball championship. She did something she was a player on the team. She did something Gene Cady could never do with Joe Barry Carroll and all the other great players that played it on Purdue's men's team. Purdue men still can't win a national championship. But Stephanie White did what Caitlin Clark did. Grew up in Indiana, went to an Indiana State University, Purdue University, led the team to a national championship, 98, 99, I can't remember what year, but they won a national championship. Maybe it's in the 2000s. I can't remember. But I think the team lost one game. Carolyn Peck was their coach. And then she went on to play at the Indiana Fever. This was Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark. And Stephanie White married some dude named Brent McCarty. And that lasted about 4 years. It lasted about 4 years. And then, you know what? She partnered up with some woman named Michelle. They figured out a way through scissoring or whatever. I don't know. Maybe they let some dude come in and bang both of them. I don't know. But they figured out a way to have kids, her and Michelle. 3 kids. And now Stephanie White is partnered up with another woman, Lisa Salters, the ESPN sideline reporter. The WNBA process is undefeated. That culture, the Woke Negro Basketball Association, that culture of lesbians, and that sex tour of lesbians, that gay pride tour of lesbians, it's undefeated. Stephanie White was Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark, and now she's Caitlin Clark's coach. What a coincidence. That someone who's already been through the process, already been turned out, already been made to grab a belt loop. Hey, them little small town values you had in Indiana, them little small town values you had at Purdue, welcome to the WNBA. Grab a girlfriend, reject your heterosexuality, reject your biblical worldview, and join us here in lesbian heaven, the WNBA. Stephanie White's been through the process. Now she's the head coach that will be there to help guide Caitlin Clark through the process. It won't matter how beta that boy, that man is that Caitlin Clark's dating. It won't matter how hard he simps. It won't matter how hard he campaigns for Kamala Harris or whatever woke idiot they put up next. The process of the WNBA, it works every time. And so Caitlin Clark, she's being groomed. She's being groomed, and she will turn around and groom the next generation. That's what they do. It's feminism. Feminism is a grooming process. In this article, in this story, they talk about the relationship between Caitlin Clark and Taylor Swift. They're 2 groomers. Their job is to groom young girls. Get them to sing little catchy songs about feminism. Get them to embrace the whole feminist mindset. Get them to, hey, I'm a boss bee. And so it doesn't matter, because I do think this is going to hurt WNBA ratings. I think there will be less of us passionate about watching Caitlin Clark, watching the WNBA. I don't know if I'll watch. I don't know what to do with these framed jerseys. Maybe there's people that you in the audience that want them. Maybe I shouldn't give up and say, hey, let's let this play out for a few more years. Maybe Caitlin Clark will come to her senses. I don't have much hope of that, because I've seen the process. We've heard, again, they don't let you write these stories in mainstream magazines or websites or whatever, but the sexual deviancy that is promoted in the WNBA, the relationships between coaches and players, the relationships between teammates, that stuff's not talked about, but it is rampant and relevant. And Caitlin Clark's behind enemy lines, doesn't have a real man at home. Hey, baby, I hear you, but and I hear what they're saying, but we ain't doing that in our house. We ain't, you know, this. He loves the fame, and I'm sure he loves Caitlin Clark. But he needs to hit the eject button. It's no different than a woman that would date the old version of me and be like, yeah, the Jason's gonna go to a strip club 2 or 3 nights a week. I'm just gonna have to deal with that. No, you should hit the eject button and go find you a man that doesn't want to be in a strip club 2 or 3 nights a week. Because if he's in that strip club 2 or 3 nights a week, one of them 2 or 3 nights, he's going to be doing something he really, really, really shouldn't do. There's just the percentages. You can't, you know, you swim around in mud, you're going to get some mud on your shoes, you're going to get some mud everywhere. You socialize a couple, 2 or 3 nights a week in a strip club, bunch of naked young women. Eventually, some of that's going to get on you. And so this young man, she has chosen the WNBA lifestyle, and it's very important to her, and she's been convinced that her legacy and all that she can do for kids by becoming a WNBA star. And so she's going to swim in that WNBA gay pride parade. And it will get her. And maybe he's good with it. Maybe he's not, well, she wants to scissor a night or 2 a week. No harm with me. I'm good with that. Maybe I'll watch. This is how dumb men think. I used to be dumb. I know how dumb men think. Oh, that extra woman? That's great. The trap. Can't let your little head just drag you around. It'll get you into trouble. I'm gonna. I need to, before I get, I'm gonna have a little closing statement. And before I get out of here, I just want to thank our friends at Crowd Health. Let's be honest, the insurance model is broken. Thanks to Crowd Health, we can do something about it. Crowd Health puts your health care back in your hands. No huge premiums or high deductibles, no surprises. Use the promo code FEARLESS at joincrowdhealth.com. That's joincrowdhealth.com, promo code FEARLESS. I want to take care of those guys. I love them. I love, we had the founder on, Andy. He was great. I just wanted to throw that plug in before we get out of here. My concluding comments, again, and I need you all's help on this in a real way. What should I do? I had all of this invested in Caitlin Clark. I don't think, and maybe you all can talk me out, but I just don't see how I can hang a jersey in this studio. I don't know. We certainly can't keep her photo prominently displayed in this studio. I will be praying for her that she comes to her senses. I was 22. I was stupid. I used to think a lot of the woke stuff. I get it. Young people should be a tiny bit woke and idealistic and think, oh, if we just give them everything, if we just compromise, if we just tell them what they want to hear. I get that stupidity. I used to be that kind of stupid. If I just give them an inch, they'll be satisfied. They won't ask for 2 inches. They never ask for 2 inches. They ask for the whole thing. You can't make peace with the angry and the entitled and the people with the victim mentality. Caitlin Clark thinks she's making peace with Asia Wilson and all the other woke Negroes and woke white girls in the WNBA. They don't want peace. They have no interest in peace. They want to conquer. And they've conquered Caitlin Clark. Are you going to continue to watch and support? Help, and I'm trying to think this through for myself in real time. I just don't think I can. I don't think I can hang jerseys up. I can't keep a picture prominently displayed. All I can do is pray and hope that Caitlin Clark's parents raised her up the right way and she will return home very quickly. Probably needs to exit the WNBA. Anyway, I have to end today's show. Normally I'd bring on Steve Kim, let him react. We'd hear from Shamika, we'd hear from the chat. I have other things going on. John Rocker's here in studio now. We're going to tape a long form interview with John. And so that's why I'm a little tight on time today. But stay tuned for that interview. He's one of the first guys in the 90s to ever get canceled. I wanted to hear his perspective on getting canceled. So we'll have some additional content for you this week. Long form interview with John Rocker. Thank you so much for joining me today. We'll play tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Waiting for the countdown, coming off the breakdown, standing in line for freedom. Looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came in like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all these moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom.